Well, hello and welcome to the first review that I'm going to be doing on my channel. I'm going to be doing a review on a mechanical mod called the Hytrox from a company called Clohmz out of Hawaii. I did buy this. I mean, any kind of biases or anything aren't going to be here. It's just a mechanical mod that I've been using for about a week or so now. I guess it's going to be a lot like other reviews because I can't really figure out a way to make it very different, but I'm going to be going over just a few of the basic overviews of the mod and the switch assembly, and then we're going to go over some pros, cons, some subjective things, and the price and where you can get it. First thing I would like to say is the finish on this is awesome. It does have like a matte, not necessarily Cerakote, but I would say like a rubberized feel. But with it being the matte black, you will see any kind of smudges, juice or anything that would be getting on the mod. One thing I really do like about this mod is the switch assembly. It's not your normal just threads. It actually has like a little collar that goes on in here, and then you just turn this little, I don't know what you would call it, but you turn this and it locks it in place, and that's how the switch assembly works. The contact and the button itself are silver plated. The silver plating, I mean, on the actual other side of the button, I've cleaned it a couple of times with paper towels and it's starting to wear off, and I'll try to show you that in the up close. But it is a pretty beefy flathead contact. Take that out of there, and it is fully silver coated, even on the inside it looks like. And there's a magnet. It looks like they're both either glued or just pressed in place. I haven't been able to get them out yet. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but on the threads on the actual button itself, the silver plating is coming off. It does look like copper underneath, which is a good thing. Both have really good conductivity, but obviously silver's a little bit better. So according to Clohmz, it is a 25mm comp tube. I've put a 25mm RDA on it, and it does look a little bit thicker. So I don't know if they were talking about before they did this coating on the copper. And it is C110 copper, so it's pretty decent, you know, really, really, really good quality copper that they're using. It does have a telescoping magnetic switch, which means that there's just a little O-ring, and whenever you put a battery in there, it'll press it down, so there's no battery rattle or anything like that. And another thing that they did incorporate in this, which I'm really, really a big fan of, is all of these are airflow holes. I couldn't find an actual diameter of them, but I do believe they're at least 3mm, maybe 4. And there's a ton of them all on the bottom and top of the mod. And I'll try to show you this a little bit more in the close-ups, but they do have their little cloud logo on it as well. So I think what I'm going to do is go over the pros and cons, and then I'll go to the up-close, and then I'll come back and give you the subjective things and the price and where you can find it and everything. My first pro is it has a very, very nice weight and feel. The weight, with it being copper and stainless steel mainly, it just makes it really, really nice. They didn't use too much material, so it's not too heavy, and it's not too light to where you feel like it's just a really cheap mod, I guess. Whenever I get a really light mod, like something aluminum or something like that, it always feels cheap to me. And the coating itself gives it a really, really nice feel, but like I said, every little smudge, every drop of juice or whatever that gets on this, you will be able to see it. And that annoys the piss out of me, so I'm constantly just wiping this thing down. It sucks. The coating has held up very well so far. I haven't dropped it yet, but just from being in a backpack and me wiping it off with my pants or whatever, it's held up really, really well. I don't see any atomizer swirls or anything on the top of it, but I guess time will tell. But so far, it's a really, really good coating. Another thing with it being copper and with the contacts and the switch being silver plated, it does hit really hard. I mean, it keeps up there with my other brass and copper tubes that I have, but I do not have a voltmeter to test it. But if I can find one, I'll try to put an update or something later on. A few of the cons, like I said, you do see every speck of juice, anything. If your hands are sweaty and you touch it, you're gonna see it. If your atomizer leaks, like I have this Pulse 24 RDA, and since you take the top AFC off of it, whenever you put it back on there, there's always juice that's on it, and I clean the RDA off and end up getting some juice on my hands, and you can see it all over the mod. Not a huge deal, just very nitpicky thing that really gets on my nerves sometimes. Another thing, I have to put all this back together. I'll talk about the other one. So, one thing that I do not like about this button housing, the way that they designed it. Shit, did I get this stuck? No. One thing I really don't like about this button housing, the way that they designed it, is because it kind of has that sleeve. God damn it. Now we are back. Sorry, I dropped the button. But like I was saying, one thing that I don't necessarily like about the design of this is the button housing, since it does have that little collar system instead of regular threading. It doesn't lock down all the way, so sometimes you can feel the button housing like clicking whenever you're using it, especially if you hit the button really hard, which to me it kind of makes it feel cheap, but I do like the collar system instead of having the threads anyways. And another thing that really just kind of is really annoying, I don't know if you can see this, but the button sticks out just a little bit past the housing, which to me this is a really annoying thing because I like my buttons to stay in really good condition. I'd rather the tube itself, the bottom of the tube, be scratched than the button. And just from the week of use that I've had it, the button's already kind of scratched up, which with that silver plating, it's not really a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either, I guess. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to clean all this stuff off. Matte black everything, juice everywhere. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to figure out a way to set up my phone to show you at close-ups. Alright, so this part is gonna be handheld. If I end up messing anything up or shaking too much, I'm sorry. But I can't figure out a way to set up my phone. So this is the box that it comes in. It's a really nice little cardboard box, and I do have it open already just so I can open it easier. Whenever you open it, you're going to see Clohmz, and you're going to have your tube here. I do think the authenticity card is right on top of the tube whenever you get it. I just put mine below this little foam insert, and this looks like a little sticker for Clohmz Fiber, which is their cotton brand, and then their logo, which I think is another sticker, and then your authenticity card, which gives you a disclaimer and saying that this is for experienced users or enthusiasts only. So the next thing we have is the tube itself. Try to get out of the light, but you can see at the top it says Hytrox right above those larger vent holes. Right here we're gonna have the Clohmz logo, and then the serial number, which mine is number 88. And then this is the little the ring that just secures your button housing in place. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that very well, but those are the vent holes inside, and then the little locking, they call it a collar disconnect, I believe. And the top doesn't have anything on it, just has this really nice rubberized coating. And then there you can see my hands are just a little bit sweaty, but you can see everything on this map, like rubberized coating. Another con that I forgot to mention earlier is the hybrid. It is hybrid, and the 510 threading on the mod itself is not that deep. I have had a couple of RDAs where the actual space between the deck and then the pin, there's like that little gap is a lot bigger, like my Bushido 2 RDA, and after you put it on here it just spins around, but it's not a big deal as long as you're using I would say most RDAs, because with this one you can see that the positive pin protrudes enough, but with the actual threading, the threading goes almost all the way to the base of the RDA, so it's not going to spin around. The button housing, juice everywhere. The button housing has that same kind of plastic coating this is the telescoping switch I was talking about. So whenever you put a battery in here, this part's gonna compress so there's no battery rattle, so it's automatically adjusting. The pen and the button are both silver plated copper. Really nice beefy flathead contact on it. And then you can see the other side of that collar disconnect. So basically you're just gonna stick this in the mod, and whenever you turn this little ring, then it's gonna lock it in place. So let's go ahead and go up to the other camera angle, and I'll give you my final thoughts, some subjective stuff, and the price where you can find it. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this. I have this Pulse 24 that I'm gonna be using today, and it is a little bit smaller than the tube, but it's not enough to annoy me. And I'm using these Home Life. I know they're less than 36 amps, but they're at least 20, so it'll be fine for what I have in this right now. And there you go. Fully working mech mod. That easy. Just Jesus Christ. And today I'm dripping Coastal Butter by Liquid EFX. Really, I would say a heavier cream type of vape. Not really cream, like a... It's kind of weird to describe, but it's just heavier. It's really nice. And this is hitting really well. This is actually, because it's the Pulse, the diameter of my coils is a little bit smaller than what I usually use. I have 22 gauge nichrome 22, a 6 wrap around a 2.4 millimeters, so it's probably around a 0.15, which is a little bit higher than what I would normally vape, but it's really nice. It performs really well. I don't know if I said it earlier, but the another con that I had for this is the throw on the button is really, really, really light. I think it's just the magnets that they use. They're not really magnetized very much, or just, I don't know. I think it would be better if they gave you an option to be able to replace the magnets or replace a spring in there or something like that, to where the throw's a little bit better. But that could just be me. Just one of those subjective things. Like I said, the button does stick out a little bit, so whenever you have it just sitting down, kind of, so it does rattle around. Whenever you set it down, the button can get scratched, but it's not a huge deal. I think that's all the subjective stuff that I had. So you can get it at, there's a place called eLiquid Universe. I think it's eliquiduniverse.com, but you can just search it, or search Clohmz Hytrox. It's CLOHMS, and Hytrox is HYTROX. And eLiquid Universe has them for $199 or $129.99. Sorry, and I don't know if it's still up, but I got mine from eBay. They were doing a like a wholesale pricing promotion, I guess, where you can get it for $49.99 and $8 shipping, so it's essentially $58, and that's how I got mine. They're a good company. I've talked to them a couple of times. They're really interested in seeing my actual thoughts and everything on it, so that's kind of why I wanted to do this video. If it does any good, then I might end up doing a couple more reviews in the future. I do have a couple of things that I could go ahead and review, but I don't really want to put the effort into it unless people are going to be enjoying it and getting good information out of it. Another thing, if you have any suggestions for me, things that I could do to make my videos any better, or things that I can add, I am looking into getting a dial caliper soon so I can measure diameters and stuff, and I'm trying to find a voltmeter to actually get the pass-through voltage drop, or just voltage, I don't know, I said pass-through, just voltage drop on the actual mod itself. And I'm thinking about getting a scale just to get the overall weight. But any suggestions, I'd be more than happy to hear them. And other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or message me, just whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for watching.